I was hit at work, opinions needed, then asked to resign or face termination. As an ABA specialist, I worked with autistic children at a school. However, due to staffing issues, I also had to perform the duties of a paraprofessional, while still providing ABA therapy. One day, a teacher in charge of the classroom wanted to let a child leave the lunchroom because he was throwing things. I knew this would reinforce his disruptive behavior, so I advised the teacher not to do that. She reacted by hitting me on my face and neck, making me step back. It was more disrespectful than painful. She apologized later and we moved on. The incident was witnessed by coworkers, so I was called to the principal's office. They said this was unacceptable. They would address the issue with the teacher and ask me to report any retaliation. They also asked me if there was anything else they needed to know. I shared my daily log with them, which showed my work and observations. I also pointed out the signs of potential neglect I noticed when I was absent, such as unchanged diapers and unattended therapy programs. 2 days later, they talked to the teacher and she came back annoyed. At the end of the day, I was summoned to the principal's office again, where they told me that the teacher had accused me of sexual harassment. They showed me a group text from 9 months ago, where the teacher was discouraged and I had said, "You're not mean. You're sweet like candy," and sent the gif from Mad TV's, "Where your boyfriend at," where he is licking his lips. There was no indication that she was offended by it at the time. She even sent memes back. They said they would put me on unpaid leave and likely terminate me based on the allegation. They offered me the option to resign and get a positive reference. I felt that this was a desperate attempt by the teacher to save her own job by making a false accusation. I also wondered why they did not discipline her for hitting me, which was clearly unacceptable. I was confused and frustrated by the whole situation. I want to learn from this experience and avoid any future trouble. Was what I did sexual harassment? I admit it was probably inappropriate, but given the fact that everyone in this group text was doing the same, I thought it acceptable? Also, do you think they had other reasons to get rid of me, such as covering up negligence I reported, or am I digging too deep into conspiracy? TL. Doctor, I work with autistic children at a school as an ABA specialist, but I also had to do other tasks. A teacher hit me when I tried to correct her mistake, but she was not punished. She later accused me of sexual harassment based on an old text message. I was offered to resign or face termination. I want to know if I was wrong and if they had other motives. Edit. I've seen some comments about my profession, and I want to clarify that I wasn't initially placed in this role, nor did I pick this as my lifelong passion due to family needs. I accepted the position after receiving training and certification from the school. I follow the guidelines they've provided. I was hired to do the role with no prior knowledge of what ABA is. I was merely doing what I was hired to do. Thank you for your understanding. Edit number 2. I documented my observations and concerns through the established channels, following the reporting procedures outlined by the school at the end of each shift. Despite that, my impression is the principal wasn't included or hadn't merely read the daily logs until I brought it up in our meeting. Edit number 3. I understand that there may be different perspectives on this situation. Mine versus the teachers. I am willing to accept that I can be in the wrong or take responsibility for my mistakes in this scenario. I welcome any guidance that can help me improve and not be put in this situation in the future. Edit number 4. My response to being hit was confusion, where I froze, as I never expected to be touched by staff in this manner. Edit number 5. I'd like to expand on what I did on a daily basis for those who liken me to an abuser. I encouraged communication if, at any time, Someone needed a break. We practiced effectively communicating that through communication devices, words, peck, or any accommodation the child needed. Most of my day, I rotated from child to child doing errorless learning through a program called verbal behavior that encourages vocabulary development by teaching it in a way that child could understand. Outside of that, I assisted the teacher in any way she needed me when asked. I never personally reprimanded, controlled, transported, or disciplined the children. If I had concerns or suggestions, they were given to the teacher to decide what to do with it. Edit number 6. The group text was primarily to inform staff absences. But as the days went on, it became less formal, and everyone started sharing memes, jokes, or to recommend the next thing to watch on Netflix. Messages in the group text took place both off and on school property and both during and after work hours. Edit number 7. I understand that my message may have been misinterpreted. When I said, "sweet like candy," and then showed the guy licking his lips, I truly meant delicious. The GIF was chosen because my messaging app suggested it and I thought it was just silly. It was intended to be lighthearted, but I recognize that it's important to be mindful of different interpretations. Edit number 8. It's important to clarify that I wasn't the one who made the decision about keeping the child in the lunchroom. I was following the instructions of a more senior staff member. I was merely the messenger of this directive. The timing of 9 months age versus 2 days ago will make the texts laughable as a reason in court. Jurors aren't idiots, and lawyers know this. It's wrongful termination. Report any retaliation, they said. This is lawyer territory. They fired you instead of her because they thought it was the easier route. Maybe they thought you would not fight back. Or maybe they saw you as a possible source of further trouble. Showing them your daily log, especially if you recorded possible issues like the neglect you mentioned, probably did more harm than good. Only a lawyer can tell you if you have a case or if you should just accept this. I would seek a consultation, especially if this incident can possibly affect your future employment prospects. You have witnesses. Press criminal charges. You have nothing to lose at this point. Point out to your employer, through a lawyer, that this is clearly retaliation from the teacher. And as the original attack has not been dealt with, you will be going to the police about the assault. You should absolutely consult with an employment attorney. Your employer may have a point about the text. Although given the context it seems innocent to me. But your coworker definitely assaulted you. Plus, if I'm understanding you correctly, she is neglecting the children under her care. And what if she is assaulting them, too? There is a 100% chance I would have brought a lawsuit against the school. When did this happen? How long ago? Keep everything professional with coworkers. Personally, I think your joke was innocent, but it's something you would send your friends. Those people are not your friends, even if you've known them for years. It's a job, and however much you enjoy the people or work, never let your guard down. Resign and take the good reference. She went straight to assault after you said she shouldn't let the kid go out? There was nothing in between? Nothing at all? Just you saying don't let him out, which you were wrong to do. BTW. I don't need to reiterate everyone telling you Abba is disgusting, but that kid was very clearly overwhelmed and needed to step out. And then she comes swinging? Attacking a coworker in front of kids? And then you didn't file a police report? Did you restrain her? Did you touch her in any way? What happened between you saying don't let the kid out and her hitting you? Also, you're a mandated reporter. Why didn't you report your observations of neglect ages ago? That comment and GIF is 100% sexual harassment. Other people were joking too, sure. Were they also intoning sexual behavior, or were you the only one? Even if others were, don't ever participate. At work, always compliment in ways that simply compliment their merit. Nothing else. Call them cool. Call them awesome. Say they're the best, etc. Don't say they're sweet like candy and send them a gif of a dude licking their lips asking if they're single. This should be obvious. Usually I want to believe posters who come looking for help. But this whole thing is so fishy. You're not sharing what actually happened. The teacher was right that the kids should have left the lunchroom. Speaking as an autistic person, being forced to stay in an overwhelming situation as a child instead of being allowed to remove myself and self-regulate was a cause of lifetime trauma that I'm still entangling in therapy at age 29. I was luckily never subjected to ABA officially, but the principles of it, sit down, shut up, act normal, were applied by teachers and parents all my life. I think what you do is disgusting, unethical, and honestly pure evil. Also, the text you sent was 100% inappropriate, and I am shocked you'd send it in 2023. All of that said, your coworker shouldn't have hit you. It's almost as if we shouldn't use physical force to change someone else's behavior just because we don't like it. Maybe this is an opportunity for you to do some soul searching and ask yourself if training autistic kids like dogs is really your life's mission. ABA, no sympathy. Quit and find a job which doesn't involve abusing vulnerable people. The ABA thing is a bit of a problem. A coworker assaulting you is definitely wrong. However, I find it a bit odd to complain that someone hit me at my job where I abuse autistic children. I don't excuse the teacher hitting you, but ABA is awful on virtually every level. Never mind that its foundation is based on research done by the same man who created conversion therapy, but the models used in ABA are not just similar to the ones used to train animals. It unashamedly boasts that that's where it roots itself. I agree with their decision to remove the child who was throwing things and could have hurt other children. I don't know why you'd think any different, but you're an ABA specialist, so fine. Not a thinker. I would also agree that the message you chose to send was highly inappropriate and completely unprofessional at best. It's sort of baffling how you don't see it as sexual harassment. Finally, just think of this as one of your tenets of ABA. Your behavior was being driven by lack of consequence. You were seeking attention via pretending to care about your students. Now you have the opportunity to correct that behavior. With respect but no sympathy from me here. First of all, ABA specialist? So, dog training for children with autism, ADHD, etc. Have you looked really into the origins of ABA? You might want to reconsider your career choice. Then this gem. One day, a teacher in charge of the classroom wanted to let a child leave the lunchroom because he was throwing things. I knew this would reinforce his disruptive behavior. Autistic children can get overwhelmed, and a meltdown is due to input overload, and not a tantrum. The teacher was actually correct. Removing overloaded child from an overstimulating and overwhelming situation helps calm them down. Forcing them to remain in that situation is abusive and creates an unsafe environment for both the overwhelmed child and the others in said room. Of course, you being wrong here does not excuse that teacher from hitting you, for which she did apologize, and you yourself indicate you moved on from. But from your text I gather you are a man and this teacher is a woman with the other info. Could it be she felt threatened by your comments? How did you tell her this? And she reacted out of fear, instinct? And saying you see signs of neglect while actively trying to force neglect of the immediate mental needs? Nope. Again, no sympathy here. Of course, I am biased, as I prefer my son to learn to navigate this neurodivergent, unfriendly world without abusive therapy. For those that wonder why I am opposed to ABBA and have no sympathy for ABBA professionals. https://stopabasupportautistics.home. Blog, The Origins of Abawavalova as the Father of ABA and Gay Conversion Therapy. Edited to add the reason why I have zero sympathy for ABBA is A. Due to my child being autistic. B. Due to me seeing the damage in adults these ABBA specialists do. ABBA trauma is real due to the inherent abusive nature of this rebranded gay conversion therapy. C. Because the base of this ABBA is the dehumanizing and invalidating of autistic children and their individual needs, and last but not least D. I am autistic as well, just late diagnosed, and usually shoved aside as high functioning. Doesn't T need any help. Edit to add some more. Why is ABBA dehumanizing? Because ABBA actually confessed to this in the comment about the reinforcing disruptive behavior. ABBA does not see a child in distress, he sees an unruly subject that needs to be subdued. Yuck. You deserve worse for the way you treat neurodivergent children. Shame on you. Actively participating in ABBA. You should be ashamed of yourself. ABBA specialist. No sympathy for you from me. The meme with comments is definitely not okay to send to a coworker. Did other stuff or comments happen? If not, you gave her a good stick to hit you with. Learn from it. If there were more comments like that, she might have slapped you because of that. Not that it's okay, but not every woman is comfortable speaking up, or they can feel intimidated, and it just comes to a boiling point. This is your view and your side of things. I wonder what her story is. No sympathy for the professional child abuser. ABBA is abuse. The text was completely inappropriate, and I find it odd that you're even questioning that. I think it came up 9 months later because she was so bothered by it that it was still top of mind for her. I'm sorry you were hit. That is also unacceptable at work. It sounds like retaliation. I would talk to an employment lawyer. If you're in a union, be sure to have your union steward present. As an ABA specialist, you are an awful person. You are willingly practicing ABBA when there is a ton of evidence that it does more harm than good. Sure, the teacher should not have assaulted you, but at the end of the day I have zero sympathy. Let's not mince words. Forcing ABBA on autistic kids is abuse, and whether you like it or not, you are an abuser. I want to learn from this experience and avoid any future trouble. Stop doing ABBA then and actually get education on autism and how to properly interact and support young autistic students in a way that's healthy for them long term.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.